Hey everyone, and welcome back to Jaraci Cup 6. Going to continue today, starting with the group stage, but we're eventually going to end up casting some upper bracket games. And we're going to begin here with some games between Houston and StrikeRed, which I'm pretty excited for. Houston said this is a game which shows off the power of artillery. That's always a fun prospect. And hey, look, there he is. Perfect timing. So, without further ado, Mary Sue. No, so I think that Houston is the lower seed here, so he would have had the pick for both this map and this faction pick he would have had first. Playing Soban there, by the way. His opponent. I like this, actually. Look at this. The green player is green, and the red player is red. That's pretty convenient, but he's going to be playing Coalition here. That's going to be the Shallows. Of course, oh my gosh, someone's already followed. Oh, we're on for Frolic. You weren't followed already? I'm mad. I'm mad. Anyway. Hey, nerd. You know, that's not very nice. Some people would be really upset if you said that to them. Unsub. You didn't sub. Soban? Anyway, map here can be the Shallows. And Houston seems to know what that means. He's gonna go eco. Sparker's the first gear. Bit of a funky carrier positioning, but it's not gonna hurt him too much, of course, because he's going SC first. His opponent, meanwhile, with LAV Fab to start out. StrikeRed, we haven't really seen any games from yet, I don't believe. 7 Salvager beginning here as well. Ooh, spooky lightning. But I do worry a little bit, obviously. Usually if you go for LAV first on the Shallows, you don't tend to find too much value out of it, but we'll see. Maybe he's got something in mind. Houston, of course, fairly new to the scene too, so it's not like he's going to be rock solid either. Maybe he can make this work. Salvager here. Getting a little bit of a tan. This is like the Saban equivalent to sunbed tanning. Tanning bed, there we go. You know what I'm trying to say. And AV Fab does start for StrikeRed, but it's going to be at SC. Coming out here before that. And I think I've talked about this opener in detail before. Not a big fan, obviously. If you're gonna go SC first, you gotta actually do it. Don't get LAV Fab before you do. So it is gonna be eco from him as well, but a little bit slower. Yes, indeed it is. Yeah, we didn't get to these replays on Wednesday, so I figured better late than never, eh? AV Fab on the queue now for Houston. I like that. Just pretty good. You know, just defensive choice. I mean, when you go eco, your opponent kind of, like, the ball's in his court in a way, you know what I mean? He's the one who's got to, like, make something happen in the early game. So, you know, AV Fab defensive, but it's good, solid. And usually we'll use the AVs that you build to get a bit of map presence and follow up with fighter and gunship, but I don't know, the meta for CVC is kind of up in the air right now, but definitely at this level of play you can get away with a lot of things, so I'm excited to see what Houston goes for here, of course. Gonna be plinking away at this base runner, doesn't want to let this extract. That is proper. Interestingly though, so StrikeRed has actually saturated his second before Houston. Oh, and you know, I didn't catch this, but actually the base runner was retired here for Houston. I think he can get away with that on the Shallows, but obviously there is the artifact pressure following that up, but I mean, this is exactly the right response, right? It's just use the LAVs to deny the extraction if you can. Now what he wants to do is go up onto the high ground and then hold ground. He sees it's probably a little bit too late. Okay, yeah, now he's got high ground, so just press H, right? Hold ground, but looks like the base runner's up on that same level now. Does he stop this? Oh, he's not going to stop it, which is unfortunate. Good try, though. And I'd say both players pretty much dead even at this point. Except, interestingly, we have power 1 already. Oh my gosh, it's BCs. Okay. StrikeRed doesn't even care. He's just going to take BC off the 2 base. I like it. Carry production upgrade just not finishing for Houston as well. Score 1 for the Republic. And he's going to go for Rail Fab here. So no, neither player opting to tech into air. Just pretty fun to see. I always do like seeing games that don't follow the meta because it's a little bit more exciting. And Rail Fab is going to be done for Houston here. Obviously these are going to be Soban rails too. Pretty tasty. Beautiful little things. I can't remember exactly what the difference between Soban and Coalition Rails is in patch, but I do believe the DPS is higher, although unlike in vanilla, I don't believe that their base stats like armor and health and whatever is better. But definitely if it comes to rail fights, sub-on rails are the ones you want to have better than any other faction's railguns. Another SC coming out as well, I like that a lot. He's going to be able to defend, right? Like, obviously. And then the problem with teching BCs is always that you have this window where you're transitioning and you're a little bit slower. So not only can Houston defend, but he can actually push the advantage. So this is one reason I always recommend going for air here, is because it's really easy to push the advantage when you have air units, rather than like railguns. He doesn't know if his opponent has air, so the threat of air holds him back in his base. If you go for air here, though, the AVs come up, they can't really get anything done because it's the shallows. It's a really defensive map. In this case, you've got railguns too, but like, you know, you don't even need that really. So you hold him off with the AVs on your base, and then you say, okay, time to go just thwack on his eco. Fly the air units over, you see no air tech from him, so we don't have to worry about dumping missiles, just boom, kill salvagers, right? So I think air is, that's why it's such a really strong choice historically. But instead just gonna tech directly into ACs. Oh, did you deploy like ALMs to attack him? Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to do. So I've talked about this at length as well, but I never like seeing ALM spam because if it's not increasing your pop cap, I really don't think you should be putting them down unless you're like really on the ropes, you know what I mean? Because ALMs, of course, are not really combat units. They're like, they give peel for your army or they entrap the enemy, right? But they don't really do anything else. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Not sure exactly how to describe it. It's like it's not the like fighting unit. It's like it just supplements the army. You really can't win with just ALM. So spamming them out onto your opponent, I really don't really like that choice. I'm a wasted. See, okay, hold on now. And then another thing, actually, though, I'd really like to see these rails push out too. But again, the threat of air is real. Like he doesn't know if he doesn't know what his opponent is doing. Like it might be air, and in that case, he can't just have these rails just move out there and die. But like that's the problem without teching air, I guess. But he could actually push pretty hard at this point right now, and that's what you want to do usually to punish someone who techs really quickly into BCs, right? He's got that transitionary period where he's got to tech into the unit, and so you've got sort of this window to damage him. But I do like Mag Excel because that kind of tells us, you know, yeah, he's ready to start a fight here. And that is indeed what's going to happen. The first BC about halfway done, as you can see by the little yellow bar. Huh? Someone was talking about strike vehicles. A bit of an unfortunate engage here. It looks like this AV is just too far out, but he can continue to smoke here. Yeah, he doesn't want to take this engage, because obviously he started with this guy leading, so he's just taking too much damage. Although, his opponent did waste 2 of his smokes, so like maybe he could win this actually, but I don't know. You never wanna gamble on that kind of thing. It's kind of like taking a fight that isn't really smart, but knowing that like maybe you have the skills to pull it off. Yeah, but maybe you don't. So wisely he does back away here. But he could have also just kept running back and like smoked the AV that was retreating constantly, and that probably would have been a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't end up mattering in the end. And that first BC is out. Missile battery fab going to be attacked by Houston. Of course, he hasn't had scouting like vision on this carrier for a long time, so he really doesn't know what's coming. I think that getting anti-air is not a bad choice at all. But he does have ACs out on the field. ACs, of course, not going to match up with... And I'm sorry if my nose is making that whistle. I don't know why. ACs are not going to fight BCs, obviously, but this many rails in tow, they definitely will. So, this fight could go either way. It's all going to come down to positioning here. This AC wants to be the front line, but once he sees the BC, he's got to just, like, run immediately. Because obviously that's going to be pretty spicy. Yeah, he seems to recognize it, so he's kind of backing away here. Now, the attack missiles can dump a lot of damage. That's what he's going to do. You can see that AC really just kind of melts. The attack missiles actually kill the AVs really nicely, so there we go. And then the rails are in position, the BC goes down. So really, really good trade there for Houston. You'll get the units lost tab. That pretty much tells the whole story. I mean, all of these units lost have been like that fight right there. So that's an ouch, I would say. And the base runner, I guess, earlier. Another assault cruiser is out. This one being given a guard order. Yeah, okay, that must have been a mistake. Oh, there's one extra salve here. Look at that. So pro tip, if you hit F3, it'll select any idle salvager, so that's a really nice thing to know. F3 is key for that, although of course you can rebind it if you want to, but... Surprisingly, you can rebind keys in DOK. A lot of people don't know that. So I wanted to be careful moving this carrier out though, because one thing that can happen, first off, this AC has no business being here, right? Because this AC is like on its last legs. And actually this this BC is in range to hit these rails, so... If StrikeRed can keep the BCs alive, and Smoke is a great ability to keep them alive that way. Tackless Barrage hitting this BC by the way. It can basically trade forever in this kind of range. Because you can see it one-shots railguns, and then it just kind of backs away and gets healed up by the carrier. Smoke gonna get popped there. I like that. So you really want to like keep distance away from the BCs, and then your ACs protect the rails from AVs that want to run up on them. But you want to take advantage of the fact that they're slower. But it's a little harder to do in this version of patch because obviously they got buffed to 62 speed, which is quite fast. And there's a lot of these things out here too, so you can tell the Coalition player wants to go for a bit of a sledgehammer here. And he'll get away with it too if Houston's not careful. So first off, this AC really needs to heal. Just press that R key. But second, artillery coming out, that's actually pretty good, I think, because it allows him to trade for free. But he definitely wants to like meet this by having his carrier maybe like about here with the rails on this hill. But the longer he waits, the closer this Coalition player gets to his base, and that's when things get really messy, right? Uh-oh, this rail a bit out of position too. It's gonna go down. But he's definitely got the rail advantage. I think Strike building rails may be a bit of a mistake here, because he's never gonna get the rail superiority. These kinds of fights tend to go pretty linearly, but he's found his window into the base, so Salvager's not pulling up the line. This AC is going to go down here as well. Mark target being used, I'm always a fan of that. Tackless Barrage coming out, really good location here. It's going to hit all of these BCs. Ouch! Huge damage. And the BCs just melt away. Artillery's on the field too, but it didn't even really have to do anything there, which is nice. In fact, he's still got the barrage ability, so I love just a precision strike right on the carrier, but he doesn't want to match the carrier like this, though, I don't think, like being right up in his face. Because if two BCs popped out right now, he might just die, so it's really dangerous to have the carrier this close. It's one railgun trying to be a hero, but he's shooting at the wrong target. I actually really like the choice of building AAVs here because they can smoke the carrier and just kind of get it out of there. But I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty dire for StrikeRed because pretty much all of his eggs were in one basket there, and they've all fallen out and cracked on the ground. I don't think he's really got anything left. He's actually got quite a bit of carrier power, I guess, but that's not gonna beat this, obviously. Especially now that max carrier range isn't like stupid high. For those of you who don't know, in vanilla, I think the max carrier range is like 2,050 meters or something. Whereas like a railgun's firing range is like 2,100 or something like that. It's like insane. So maybe that's not quite true. I think rails are 2,050 and the carrier's like 1,950 or something. At any rate, it gets really, really fast. Yes, indeed it is. Welcome, Will. One thing Houston you can definitely improve on is just like keep track of the health of the ACs, and they have this heal ability. It's only 40-second cooldown. So anytime you're out of combat, just like heal these guys up. It's really nice. It keeps them sustained, so like next time they take a fight, they're just at full health. Artillery gonna throw barrage out here. Like if there were actually units to defend, this would be great. But there's nothing there, so like, you know, whatever. It's, I mean, you know, obviously it's worth trying. He didn't know just how much he was winning this game. This is a lot of railguns, you see. So, I mean, like, the advantage can definitely be pressed here. Unfortunately, there's, like, a hill there. I think he's not quite aware. So you want to, like, keep moving. This is a really, really nice position to take on the shallows. Because, obviously, it's a little hard to see, like, from, like, the default view. But there's a hill on both sides of the base here. So if you can take that hill with the railguns, either this one or this one, you suddenly have like this really nice position. Ah, this carrier's actually getting a lot of damage down there. Oh my. This carrier probably just wants to leave. I mean, you have the damage output to win. Okay, yeah, he's already low. Never mind, I didn't see how low the Coalition carrier was getting. And there you go, game one gonna go pretty comfortably, I'd say, in the hands of Houston. pretty much, like the AAVs were a little bit messy maybe, but like every time that the armies fought each other, Houston just basically had the better positioning. Seems like those BCs really just wanted to slam into him, but they ran into walls all around. This is the first carcass. See if he can keep it up in game 2, but I like what I see so far. It's gonna be Canyon Outpost for game 2. That's pretty fun. This is a pick that we don't see terribly often, so I'm always kind of excited to watch it. StrikeRed would have picked this one. Although, given what he did last game, that doesn't really work on Canyon Outpost, because obviously the carrier has to go like around this way to get to the enemy. You can't like cross this bridge, which means that there's like this huge backstab window open. Oh my! Sorry, I've got something in my nose. I can't get it out. Oh well. So we'll see what the players do this time. So Houston, I see putting one on RUs, retire the base runner. It looks like the same thing. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, Rampa. Oh yeah. Should be the same build from SC first coming out there. Pretty good timing as well. Looks like 29-25 or so. You know what? That got it out. That fixed the problem. Oh my. Nice. StrikeRed though doing about the same thing as well, I think. And hello, Shrike. Again, I'm not a fan of this if this is followed up by an SC. That's something that... Oh, I was already on the resources tab. Yeah, and it looks like he's gonna do it. Ooh. He's actually floating quite a lot. Well, maybe it is gonna be AVs this time. Yes. This is not the fastest timing you can get, mind you, but this is okay. I think in the education stream I went over like how to get the fastest AV timing, but I should really make a build order video for it. He canceled it. What? No. Well, this is even worse. So again, this is gonna be SC first, but really delayed, right? Just something to know if you're new to the game. Like when you go SC first like this, which is just a very easy eco build, you've got to make it actually first, right? Because this is technically SC second. Not good. You can do like 5 LAVs into an SC when you're playing against Galzian, but I don't really think it works very well against Coalition. But one thing's for sure, don't do this where you like get LAV tech and then build a support cruiser, because like you're not going to build LAVs while the support cruiser's in the hangar, are you? Like that doesn't really make sense. So, you know, if you've got the tech, you want to be building the unit or getting the tech that comes after it. You don't want to be building a support cruiser after the tech finishes. So basically the build order for SC first is always support cruiser, LAV tech, probe, and that's for your like keeping the base runner, which is usually the thing to do. Although of course Orbinet had some really big success with retiring the base runner as Saban and JC5, but you know, it still is kind of more tried and true to keep that base runner. And also if you're not going to go SC first, you always want to retire this, I'm pretty sure. Same with like Galzian, if you're going to go ref mode first, you usually keep the base runner, but otherwise I think you pretty much ought to retire it unless you've got something spicy in mind. So, just some food for thought there. AV Fab on the way now for Houston. Fan of this. Now last time he was pretty slow to fill out the second base. AV Tech is done now, care protection on the way. I'd love to see him just like, whoa. Triple Q AAVs. No, I'd love to see him fill out the second base, but he's going to just go for AAVs instead. Production upgrades on the way. This is all pretty standard. But I think he could have those RUs filled out a little bit sooner. He's got the money, though, to go up to fighter and gunship, and that's what I really want to see. Because that's obviously a very, very strong move. But we shall see. It's also a tad awkward for StrikeRed. He's got 2 salvagers kind of floating here. And then this time, StrikeRed is going to decide he's not going to let these LAVs kill his base runner, but he puts his turret down actually behind the dune there, so... it's a little funky. It looks like it should be on top of the dune, but apparently the line of sight is blocked here. Seems legit. I don't know this map. I mean, nobody really knows this map terribly well, so it's a little hard to say like what's going to happen when you do these things. It's weird, it's like that on one side but not the other. Valve, please fix. That is going to mean a dead base runner, but of course what Houston could have done anyway was like, instead of having one of the LEDs die here, just move them both behind some cover like over here, And then just say, like, look, this base runner can't leave. I mean, obviously, once it leaves, I'm going to kill it. So you have to just not extract. But this is also a favorable outcome for him. And it's going to be Railgun Fab again. As well as Sport Cruiser on the way. Oh no. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. He's got 2 idle cells here, but he does put them on the RUs. Yeah, one thing I've definitely gotten in the habit of doing a lot now, I do a lot of quick drops in my builds because I'm going for like the optimization, right? You just, every time you quick drop, you spam F3, and if you have any idle cells, you'll find them. A-game should make turrets 10 feet tall. He actually did increase the height, I think, but honestly, it could definitely do with a bit more height. Because things like, I think the reason is because it's really, really small, like in the game's calculation. So you can see there is like a little bit of a hill there, kind of. And so, like, the game thinks, oh yeah, I can't see over it, but... Actually, there's not even a hill there, though. Huh. 300 CUs, why? Actually, it's largely my doing. I was complaining about how easy it was to defend the base with turrets in the early game. Although, oh, wait a second, weren't they 350 in vanilla? I think they are. I mean, it's funny, in a lot of ways... Oh, they're 250. Oh, really? Man, they're dirt cheap. Oh, yeah, because the anti-air turret post is really expensive randomly. Yeah, it's really funny, like, in vanilla, obviously, the LAV turret style is really strong, and we generally blame the turrets for it, but I think it really was just the LAVs that made that powerful. Not really the turret. Somebody signed up for salvage, look at that. PLK 455. Welcome to the crew. There's some really nice harass being done here by Houston. I'd love to see smoke it, just like that. Okay, so the turret can't see over this dune, but this hill is okay. Canyon Outpost. What secrets dost thou hold? This is okay though, because this is really good damage being done here by Houston. Now, can I get it on? Not quite. So if smoke had come out a little bit earlier, like when there were 2 AAVs up still, that definitely would have been another dead salve, but that is A-okay. Houston gonna be happy with the damage he's done there, but it is rails this time from StrikeRed, and quite a few of them at that. But Houston is first to 3 base. And he's gonna start making LAVs here as he checks into AC Fab. It's kind of an... Whoa, hiccups. Kind of an interesting pick here. Ooh. Obviously, you should note these rails can't really cross the bridge, right? Because obviously the carrier really can't cross the bridge. And so, normally rails want to rely on the carrier being there to protect them from strike craft, but it's not going to happen this time. Because they can't cross the bridge and still be protected by that carrier, so... This is definitely a really good response, I think, from Houston, just spamming a couple of LAVs. And then he techs straight to artillery, look at that. I actually really like that, because obviously when your opponent goes heavy on railguns and you've teched AC, it's kind of like, ew, you can't really get anything done with this. But artillery, of course, very good answer to railguns, because it basically allows you to just get free damage. So this is a very good pick, I think. And also, it's worth mentioning again, like, you can't really beat Saban in a rail fight very easily. So, I'd actually love to see him get Mag Excel, just so that when the rail fight does happen, he's going to be upgraded up for that. Because his opponent doesn't have Mag Excel, but he does have Armor 0. Oh yeah, right, because he's locked behind AV Tech. Okay, yeah, so I think that, I think Mag Excel would be a good option here, because then you can win, like, 4v5, it's crazy. He's actually going to build an AC, though, and I don't like that choice, because obviously you know how many rails are here. But this is really a throw if he moves across this bridge, because these LAVs are just going to have a field day. They've actually got Armor 1 already. But yeah, like, uh-oh, here they come. Da-da. 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 You can just ignore this LAV, but he can kill it too, yeah, real fast. And those rails is going to back away immediately, so okay, so he's on top of it. Assault Pack would have gone a pretty long way there, but obviously it is a lot of RUs. He's got the money for an artillery cruiser right now. Oh yeah, your lifeguard, I forgot. Pretty fine, pretty fine. It just seemed like every time you guys, fought each other, you just kind of like had the better positioning, you know what I mean? And so he just kind of died. Ran up against the wall, you know? This AC is out, so while he's got it, he might as well do something with it. Like I said, this assault cruiser doesn't do much against these rails, right? He can frontline, he's got like a decent amount of health, but you know, you don't really want to see that. So I'd like to see this assault cruiser like move out onto this side, and then go for like a backstab. That's something that ACs are really, really good at. Either that, or it can like try to plug up the gap, like just holding this bridge here. But I mean, we're in this kind of awkward state here where like StrikeRed is never going to be able to push against Houston. So really just waiting for Houston to get artillery so that he can make something happen here. But I like how StrikeRed, or rather how Houston has not teched into carrier power, and StrikeRed has, you can see here, but like obviously teching into carrier power, using the money for that means that this push is never going to work. And so indeed he just kind of backs away, everything sort of stalls out. Yeah, it's true, he could get to nukes, which obviously he's coalition, so pretty powerful, but that's still a long way away, and like Houston can make a lot happen before Power 5 hits, because obviously artillery, like I said, it's really, really powerful against like mono rails and carrier like this. I always tried to make this work in vanilla too, but it was not so good back then. But the thing is, rails are just so expensive, right? And like, if artillery can just hit rails, man, I mean, if you can just get kills, like, that's free money, you know what I mean? So, in fact, checking the units lost tab right now, it's already going to be kind of in favor of Houston. Well, it's pretty even, actually. But, although you got to factor in a lot of those guys were salvagers. So, shouldn't it say LAV taking ineffective fire when the railgun is shooting at it? Artillery taking its first shots here, just hitting this logistics module, but that's fine. That is but a shadow of things to come. You know what I'm saying? Actually, Houston is playing much too defensively here, though. Because obviously, once you've got artillery, now you've got the opportunity to push freely on your opponent basically forever. In fact, I can't totally remember how the line of sight blockers work on this map, but I think if the artillery cruiser's here, he's not going to get shot from across the bridge. And let alone barrages, you just have auto fire, which for coalition is really, really strong. So, 2 artillery cruisers are out now, and I'd love to see him fighting them with this rail force. But at the very least, he can take out these logistics modules, that's free money. Barrage gonna get set down here. Double barrage, actually. These AVs are gonna do a pretty good job holding him, so I think that's actually a little bit of a waste. You should wait until he's got vision on the rails and figure out like where they are before he barrages them. You can see already though that damage is pretty big. We don't have any heavy vehicle armor at all here for StrikeRed. He's teching into BCs again, but that doesn't seem like a good choice because you're up against like rails and artillery. Oh, and we have Mag Excel for Houston. Yeah, okay, so this should really be over actually. I think already this is just like such a better composition for here for Houston, and also we're gonna catch him in this awkward transition. Uh-oh. That's the problem though, Power 5 is on the way. I'm seeing somewhat of a bunching of units. Oh no. Let's see how fast his reaction time is. These LEVs are having a field day though, so I mean this is practically like his own nuke, you know what I mean? Because like even if all of these rails die, pretty much these rails got nuked too. You know what I'm saying? And this nuke hasn't been fired yet actually, so we're still waiting on that. I don't know, Discara, but welcome to the stream. Oh, there it is. It's a little off, but the waffle. He tried to go back into it and then like turned around. Ouchie mama. Oh well, like I said, those LAVs were pretty much like a nuke in its own. Although they came in here and just sort of inted, they could have like turned back and taken the space, which would have been much better. But this is 4 ACs, so I mean like it's really difficult to deal with this. Is this precision barrage? No. So at this point, I would actually change up Houston's build here a little bit. Like he's going for rails again, but I would actually use ACs as like your front line now. Do I have like chat filter on? Shoot, I could turn that off if I knew how Twitch worked. Oh well. I can't be bothered. Uh-oh, you really don't want BCs to touch artillery cruisers? I'll give you a hint. In the front line engaged, these guys are definitely better. You're just gonna one-shot them. Well, not quite, actually. Wow. Actually, I thought that two BCs would one-shot an AC, but they definitely melted after that, though. So, this is a really strong force here, though. I think for sure, you should, like, I think almost if you just right-click on your opponent, you could win at this point, but I do like the carrier pathing, though. He's eventually going to get there. Check railgun HP. 750, although he doesn't have any of the armor upgrades, so. Ah, the philosophical questions of DOK. I guess right-clicking on the enemy is not the answer. I retract my statement. Yeah, because it one-shots railguns, right? And these guys have 2100, so yeah, math works out. I mean, in just like a straight-up fight, like just trading back and forth, the BC wins against the AC every day, actually. Even with the TAC missile barrage, I believe. Although I might be wrong about that. It is a little funny, though, I think, that, like, BCs have less HP than assault cruisers, though, right? It's 2700, this guy's got 2900. And pretty comparable levels of armor, too. Like, it feels like they should be really a lot more tanky and then slower, but I'm not sure. Because the thing is, like, the way that BCs are right now, you can't use them the way that you're sort of expecting. It's kind of a dry barrage lands, by the way. I think the way we're kind of expecting BCs to work is like, yeah, okay, so we can use this guy as our front line because he's, like, super tanky. And then, you know, he does, like, really good damage if he catches the opponent, too. So we need to, like, our opponent has to give ground, basically, if they can't kill it. But it's more like, actually, this thing has pretty good range, and it's really fast, and it doesn't have much health. So you almost want to use it like an AC, pretty much. It's weird. Like, I think they're way stronger right now than people realize, but they shouldn't be used the way that you're thinking. The TAC missiles don't get high ground advantage, actually, but the AC does, for sure. These LAVs here trying their hardest. Comes the cavalry, though. And this should pretty much be the game, but you gotta remember, the cruise missile is available too, so I mean, we could still see something ridiculous, like, oh yeah, if we... Oh gosh, no, no, no! Oh, that was close. That was really close. He still managed to chunk up these artillery cruisers quite a lot. Yeah, you just gotta realize, like, when your opponent is on power 5 and he's got the nuke available, like, you need to keep these guys split up. Which is hard to do, it takes a lot of practice. I'm still pretty terrible at it, but, like, when your rails are in a blob like this, that just looks like cash money to a coalition player on power 5. Same with artillery cruisers, which, as you can see, can get one shot, so... Speaking of bunching up, though, this is quite a lot of rails here. And actually, Houston is on power 3, so we could see a microwave emitter before too long. This rail's gonna eat some barrages here, but it's gonna be worth it if the BCs can get on top of this. But it looks like the rails are gonna do a good job covering unless they are focus fired on the wrong targets. Okay, there we go. That's a bit unfortunate. Like I said, though, BCs really do not have any tankiness. I mean, not to say that they should survive, like, being shot at by 6 railguns like that, but they can't, like, run up to a target like that through, like, a railgun barrage. Like, that's not really how they're used in patch. This guy's got barrage ready. That'd be pretty nasty. But, I mean, as you can see, the auto fire pretty good already. And this carrier is getting donked. Houston should probably just power up the armor, let the carrier tank this. And the artillery can be like the real damage dealer. He's got barrage ready as well, so precision barrage, really good ability to chunk carriers down. And that is going to be the game for him, so he takes it 2-0. Nicely done, my boy. I'm sad to say Houston didn't get into the upper bracket of this tournament, because he was in Group E, so he'd have to have placed actually in the top 2 instead of, well, it's always top 2, do you know what I mean? But, you know, he done beat StrikeRed, so I think he can be happy with that. He's a new player to the scene, and I think he's improving pretty quickly, so always fun to see.